Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network, based in the Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania, has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Taxi!
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
And joining us now here on Katz and Cosby is Congressman Mike Lawler from the great state of New York. And tomorrow he is going to have President Trump in his district. Congressman, it's so great to have you here, and tell us about tomorrow. This is going to be big.
Well, thanks for having me, Rita and John. It's good to be with you. This is a historic trip to Rockland County. First time in 50 years a president has come to Rockland for a public event like this. The last president to do so was Gerald Ford during the 1976 campaign. So this is a great honor, a great opportunity for the residents of Rockland County and across the Hudson Valley to hear directly from President Trump about the issues most acutely impacting them and their families and the state of New York. And so I'm honored to have him here, just as I was when President Biden came 3 years ago to Westchester County. So, from my vantage point, when the President of the United States comes, you show up, you engage, you discuss the issues that matter. And I think it's a great opportunity for my constituents. So I'm excited to have President Trump here.
What are the big issues in your area? You know, your area goes from Rockland County, it goes into parts of Westchester?
No question. We have all of Rockland County, northern Westchester, everything north of the Tappan Zee Bridge, all of Putnam County, and 3 towns in Dutchess County, East Fishkill, Beekman, and Pauling. So, it's all throughout the Hudson Valley, but it's the immediate suburbs of New York. So, the issue of affordability matters. Obviously, we have among the highest taxes in the country in New York under Kathy Hochul and Zohran Mamdani. But the objective is to talk about the tax bill and, in particular, lifting the cap on salt and what we were able to do to provide real tax relief to hardworking middle-class families all across my district. In addition, we'll talk about immigration and border security. And, New York State today is passing a law to make New York a sanctuary state and refuse any cooperation between local law enforcement. The parents of Sheridan Gorman, an 18-year-old girl who was brutally murdered in Chicago just a few months ago, they live in my district. They will be there tomorrow, and certainly it'll be powerful to hear, their story and that of their daughter. I think there's so many issues impacting the country right now, and we're going to focus on them. And I think it's important for folks to be able to hear from the president directly on it.
Mike Lawler, you just talked about the family of Sheridan Gorman. And that was such a horrible case where that illegal migrant with a criminal history stabbed her in the middle of the night there in Chicago. And I know, I have such respect for her parents. They have been so courageous. One of the things they just said, Mike, was that they feel the system let them down. And they're speaking out now, not just for, obviously, to honor their daughter, but to really help all American families. Talk about how the system really did let their daughter down.
Oh, no question. Under Joe Biden, they allowed over 10 million migrants to flood into the United States, including Sheridan Gorman's killer. And he was detained at the border, released into the country, went to Chicago, committed a crime, shoplifting, was arrested, much like Laken Riley's killer, and then released under these disastrous pro-criminal policies that we see in New York and Chicago and L.A. and major cities around the country, and these sanctuary jurisdictions that refuse to cooperate with federal law enforcement, with immigration officials. And so this man was released back out onto the streets and brutally murdered this 18-year-old girl who had her whole life ahead of her. And so, when I look at the failures of this system, it's not just what was allowed to happen at our border, which President Trump has stopped. We've had almost a year straight of net zero illegal entry into the country. But it is very much the pro-criminal sanctuary policies that we see in states like New York. And New York is not only proud of it, they're doubling down. I mean, Kathy Hochul is literally saying, if you are an illegal immigrant in our state who commits a crime, we are not going to cooperate with the federal government, and our pro-criminal laws will put you back out on the street. It is shameful. It is disgraceful. And that's the system that has failed the Gorman family and Laken Riley's family and so many others.
What do we have to do to have more... I guess we're depending on the U.S. attorney now to do a lot of stuff in New York as far as safety for our people and putting away people that the judges are not putting away. Have you thought about anything that the judges must do their job or they should be held accountable?
Well, there needs to be accountability. And one of the things we're looking at from a federal level is how we crack down on these sanctuary jurisdictions. It is violating federal law. It is basically usurping immigration law from a federal level and making a determination at a state level that we don't need to comply. And this is, frankly, John, what district attorneys in New York have been doing, where they just ignore the law, where they refuse to prosecute certain cases. I mean, you have Alvin Bragg, who just routinely dismisses charges on violent crimes because he doesn't feel that there should be jail time for these people. And it is destroying the quality of life in cities like New York. It has created havoc on our streets, and we continue to deal with the consequences.
Yeah, but there's
of that.
no consequences.
So I do believe there needs to be accountability, including, by the way, a private right of action. People should be able to sue states like New York if they fall victim to a crime because New York failed to uphold the law. And that is something that we are looking at, about a private right of action for these victims and their families.
We need something because, and we got to wrap up because we're out of time, but if a judge or a DA allows a criminal that's just committed murder up on the streets and commits another murder, somebody has to be held accountable. Well, do a great job with the president tomorrow, and thank you so much for calling in today, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you, Congressman.
Thank you very
Have
much,
fun
John.
tomorrow.
Thanks, Rita. We
Thank
will.
you.